Hey guys, this is Galactic Marine 501 slash jexamwolfexia, and today I'm going to be doing a comparative review of the Destiny Gundam 1 to 100th and 1 to 144th scales. And I am wearing my Halloween costume. Happy Halloween to everybody out there. And if you don't celebrate Halloween, I am sorry. But anyway, yeah. I'm going to keep the overalls on. I'm not actually going to change. But whatever. I am Mario. I am going as Mario for those of you who have no idea who I'm supposed to be. But let's get into this review. I'm going to do the basic weapons, the weapons that he has that are not affiliated with his backpack, and the Gundam itself in this review. In the next review, in the next part of the review, I'm going to do the backpack. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. There are a lot more differences in the backpack than in this one. Than in this part, and there are some things that are better and worse, and that really should be what makes your decision for you, like the differences of the backpack, not this part, because these, unless you're like me and like this part of the Destiny a lot, which I do. I actually displayed this guy for a while without his backpack, and he's loose. He won't be this loose when you get him, but that's because I change them up so much. I'm actually going to take the physical shields off and just go through the mobile suit differences. Now, I'm going to start with manipulators. They both come with two open hands for the palms, for the palm Vulcans, I think, or blazing palm, I think it may be called. And they come with two closed hands. Sorry, I'm keeping all the beams separate for each kit. They come with two closed palms for holding things. And they do have the yellow jewels. They do have 4 hand guards, which is great. I think I believe the master grade only has 2 of these, the hand guards. So it's good that they give you all 4 in these ones. And the hands are relatively the same, the closed hands. Now the open hands, if you look, I have these guys both in a prone pose with one closed hand and one open hand. However, you could really see this guy's open hand is really splayed out there, and it looks kind of odd. It looks like the Nobel Gundam's hand, and I can't get it any lower than that. It looks like sort of the Nobel Gundam, who had the hands that were sort of like this, so she could assume sort of a feminine pose with them, or do the salute, the Sailor Girl salute, I guess. I don't know. Or was that the peace sign hand? But anyway, that's one issue here. The open hands were on the 1 to 144th were really designed to do this with the blazing palm, and they look good doing it. If you get him looking down the palm, and then you get it really nicely posed, you can actually get a really good effect with that. On this guy, it's not as good, but they did make it so that he can be standing prone and the hands won't look too out of place, but he still can do it. And I actually like, in a way, I like this version better because he's not being so dramatic about it. He kind of has that air about him, like just like with this, I could be like this, ha ha ha, or I could just go like, yeah, you're screwed, just kind of with my hand out a little bit like this. I like that actually better. I like the 1 to 100th. I'm gonna give you that I may be a tiny bit biased, but I am gonna tell you the good parts. Now let's get into the stickers. For the 1 to 144th, I'm gonna go with the one that has more first. You do, or less in a way, but still more. You get the forehead, the eyes, the forehead camera, no back of the head. The reason I say that is because the 1 to 100th has one. These two things on the chest, there's a little red ribbon on the chest. Both of them have that. These on the 1 to 100th are plastic. However, the 1 to 100th does have the eyes and the forehead camera. I painted Joker tears on both of these. The Joker tears don't come. However, they are easy enough to paint. I did it on both. I like the 1 to 100ths better because they are a little sharper than the 1 to 144th. But then again, it's because the 1 to 144th is so small that they couldn't make them as sharp. The front of the crotch both have a sticker. However, this one is white plastic underneath. I don't believe this one is. I could be wrong, so it would be easier to paint this one. On the back, let's see, did I miss anything? No. Let's go into colors that are different. You obviously get the plastic, I already said here. You get the black on the side skirts, that this one only has white. You get the black on the knees, that's not painted, that's in it, that's in the detail. Then on the back you actually get a little more detail with the gray of the collar, and then you get black gray thrusters on the legs, which are nice. And you do get foot detail on both of them, however, and I'm going to give those both the same marks. And you get blue on the sides. The blue on the sides is both plastic, which is great. I mean, that part is good. The heads are good. The only thing that I don't like is that on the 1 to 1/44th, you don't get a back of the head sticker. And I have to say I like the 1 to 100th better because I think it pulls it off just a tad more. And you don't have those little, if you look, you see how this guy's V-fin has those little nubs on it. This guy's is perfectly straight in the back. Yeah, I think they do that so you don't stab yourself, but I mean, who stabs themselves with a V-fin? Honestly, I have stabbed myself with the unicorn's V-fin, and that's because I cut that off of my 1 to 1/44th. But yeah, this guy is about $10 more though. But I think you're paying for the I think you're paying more for the quality. This guy does have something that the other guy doesn't that I will get into in the next review. But yeah, let's go into, now that we've done those, let's lay them both down, and let's go into the shields. Now, here's the 1 to 1/44th, here's the 1 to 100th. There are only 2 stickers on the 1 to 100th, and those are these 2 little yellow things. There are 2 stickers on this one. They're the black ones. There are no yellow stickers, and I panel lined those gray bits. Now, the way these go into their open state is part of the reason I like the 1 to 100th better. You pull this down, and you've got a red part under there. Now, when you have it in the compressed mode, you do have a red bit here, which is not totally accurate. That should be gray, but it is supposed to be there. So it's not like they cheaped out on the way it's supposed to look. If you turn this one over, it's not as detailed. The detail isn't perfect on this one because they did have to sacrifice some of it to do the gimmick with the where it opens. And you do have gray on the back here. It's not a red back. And the reason I have to address that is because this one, if I can open it, it's hard to get out. But you actually have to unpeg it. And there are 2 holes in here and a peg on the back of here. 1 peg. So you peg it into the lower of the holes to have it open. Like so. And it's gray on the inside. It's not red. You'd have to paint the red in. Which some people may not mind. Some people, these shields will sit in a box for them, so they would rather have less pieces of plastic go into them. Which I can understand. I mean, some people like the beam shields. I don't, so that's why. I'd rather have the other ones. Now, I didn't line the beam rifle on this one, but there is one noticeable difference. You do have the moving handle on both. The scope moves on both, but this one has a white piece for the scope. Now I'm going to attach them to the backs, to the back skirts here. This one has a slightly less solid connection. The 1 to 1/44 is a tad more solid, so if you're not going to display it with the beam rifle ever, that may be a little bit of a bonus for you if it has a more solid connection, if you want it on the back skirt and never want it to fall off. But if that were your case, you could just glue it. But I'm going to go through the articulation a little. They have pretty much similar articulation. The only differences are the arms, where this guy has a bit more bend. No, they're about the same. The legs are I seem to remember the legs were similar. This one may be a little more because the skirt does come down. No, they're about the same in the legs. The feet are ball jointed, so those are not in any way different. The only difference in articulation between these two, I believe, is the backs of the thrusters. These only line up properly when they're in the down position because the thruster is attached to the to this part. So if you want them out more, you're going to want the 1/100th because with this one, they're shooting into the white piece. However, with this one, the gray piece is secured inside. So when you open these up, it opens up without the thruster there, without the thruster to hinder it. Without the thruster moving, I guess, would be the best way to put that. And the side skirts move the same, and there's pretty much... Oh, this guy does have a little more shoulder articulation. He can get his shoulders, his arms out a little more, because he does have an extra shoulder joint, like so. Whereas this guy can only get that high. Oh no, wait, that guy's this one's actually going higher. Huh. Okay. That's a new one. Okay, I thought this guy had a better shoulder joint. He does have a better, but this guy trumps him. He's got an inner shoulder joint. I forgot about that. But yeah, the 1/144th has a slightly better shoulder joint, but it's also a slightly looser shoulder joint. You're not going to want this out there, like so. It can bend out so you can get both hands on the sword. That's the only time you're going to want it out there, because if you have that out there with the cannon, and you don't have the other hand on the cannon, then you can't really do it. But this guy doesn't need it, because he can still bring his arm across. He doesn't need that joint. So I give my props to the 1/100th because they have the same forward articulation. You can't go as high up, but how many times are you really going to display it with its arm up like that? But yeah. Now there is one last accessory I'm going to go through in this part, and that is the beam sabers / beam boomerangs. And they're a lot tighter on the 1/100th, and I did paint them on the 1/100th, so that may add to it. But I'm not going to put them in the hands. Oh, another thing, the hands, the way they open. Now, here's the 1/100th hand. You open it by pulling off the fingers, which that joint is a lot stronger because it has a connection in the thumb and in the back. The 1/144th, where's its hand? Here. You just pop off the hand cover, like so. And then you've got an open hand to put accessories in. The 1/100th will, in my opinion, last much longer, and it has. It's not suffering any for me so far, but I've had the 1/144th much longer. So, and I'm actually losing my voice. Sorry if it sounds like it. There's actually a trigger in the 1/100th boomerang, if you can see it. Just barely there, but it is there. The only difference in the actual boomerang is if you can see the 1/144th has another bit of detail, but the 1/100th has a nice little streamlined effect to it. Now let's go to the beam sabers first because they're the ones that I like more. Now I gotta say, this for me was, in my opinion, one of the points where the 1/100th just killed the 1/144th. Now, if you look at these beams, the 1/100th has this nice effect all the way down the beam, sort of like the ashtray. The 1/144th is a straight beam with a little effect down by the hilt. And there's another thing that the 1/100th has that the 1/144th doesn't, and that is quantity. You get two beam sabers with the 1/100th, and only one with the 1/144th. The only thing that the 1/144th does that the 1/100th cannot is, that's the wrong beam. Where are you? Here. You can actually kind of do a beam boomerang with the sword. It's more noticeable with the dagger